Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another Devtoberfest session. It's Thursday, that means it's data and AI, and wrapping up today. What a fantastic way to finish. We've got a session with three lovely people, Sally, Carlos, and Frank. I'll get them to say hello and introduce themselves in a second. This is all about looking behind the curtains. Now, what film is that a reference to? Behind the Magic, how Cirque du Soleil reimagined invoice management with SAP Business AI. So there's Business AI, there's BTP, there's email assistants. It's going to be super cool to find out how Business AI from SAP helps this company deal with their invoice queries that were coming in thick and fast. So I'm DJ. I'm going to stop talking and introduce or kick it over, because we're already a little bit late. Sorry about that. Kick it over to Sally, who's going to introduce herself first and then move on to the next person. And then I think, Carlos, you're going to start sharing your screen when you're ready. Folks, over to you and welcome.
All right. Thank you, DJ, and welcome on behalf of AppHaus. I am Sally Lawler-Kennedy, and I am one of our innovation project leads. I lead our business AI workshops, and examples of the innovative projects we do with customers is what we'll be talking about today. Carlos, over to you.
Thank you, Sally, and thank you, DJ, for having us. Actually, this is a great opportunity to be here. Thank you for the community from the Devtoberfest. And I'm Carlos Estrada with 18 plus years in SAP. I'm the enterprise architect in the AppHaus together with Frank, but also I'm co-leading what is called the AppHaus Partner Network. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm ready to go. Frank, please.
Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, Devtoberfest is following the sun. So we are all here in the AppHaus in Palo Alto at the West Coast. So kind of like wrapping up Devtoberfest, but for us, the day is starting. I'm here with my Pettoberfest dog, Daisy. She's featured, so you should definitely check that out. All the great pets that are also following the Devtoberfest. It's not just Casimir. And as Carlos already said, my name is Frank. I'm also one of the enterprise architects, and I'm actually here today for my colleague Kai Schmidt-Eckert from that team that built this wonderful application out as a POC from the adoption team in BTP that is also doing great architectures and BTP stuff. And I will show you a little bit of that later, but I'm handing it over to Sally now.
All right. All right, we can jump on to the agenda. So let's jump into our session because we are so excited to share this customer story with you. So I'll start out. If you're not familiar with Cirque du Soleil, I'll just give you a quick introduction to them. As a company, I will talk about our business challenge and then do a brief introduction to the AppHaus and our business AI workshops. And then I will be handing it over to Carlos, who will show our AI use case matcher with the solution advisor. And Frank will wrap us up today, sharing with you, diving into the proof of concept and the solution diagram. So next slide and next one. All right, so if you're not familiar with Cirque du Soleil, they are a Canadian entertainment company. They are the world's largest contemporary circus and live entertainment producer. They were founded by a group of street performers in 1984, and now they have over 4,000 employees from around 80 companies. And many of those employees are their artists that are performing in their shows. Their shows are known for artistry, theatrics, live music, and of course, those breathtaking performances. I personally, every show I have gone to, I walk out with a wow, that was amazing experience feeling. Next slide. So in order to deliver those breathtaking performances, Cirque du Soleil processes over 70,000 invoices per year. And the accounts payable department, which is processing all of these, they had a shared inbox for their vendors, and they were receiving around 200 emails per day from vendors all over the globe. And now to that next slide. So with a small team and those 200 plus emails per day, the accounts payable department, that team was overwhelmed with these invoice inquiries. And many of around 40% of those inquiries were wanting to know it was related to a delayed payment, or ultimately they wanted to know what's the status of my invoice. And one of the biggest challenges they had was, how do you prioritize? Where do I start? Which ones are the biggest priority to reply to respond to? So for each inquiry that was coming in, the accounts payable specialist, they had to read it. They had to determine the priority. Then they're getting the invoice number. They're manually searching to find the status of the invoice. They're identifying the problem or that status. It could be a duplicate invoice. Maybe the invoice was not submitted. And then they're crafting the response to the requester. And in some cases, while many of the inquiries are written in French or English, they perform all over the world. They have their traveling shows. And so inquiries can come in any language. And so they may need to actually have some translation to support the crafting that response. So next slide. And so to address these challenges, Cirque du Soleil, SAP is a trusted innovation partner with them. So they turn to SAP to understand how business AI could help these challenges. And next slide. And next slide. All right, so the AppHaus was one of the teams, as Frank mentioned, together with our Chief Technology Office team. And they together, we supported this project. So the AppHaus is a multidisciplinary team. We use a human-centered approach to deliver on innovations. And the picture you'll see here is actually our AppHaus space in Palo Alto. This is the collaboration space where we deliver the customer workshops and events. And next slide. So the AppHaus has been around since 2013, and over that time, we have delivered more than 1,000 innovation projects and won many design awards. And one of the things that is essential or core to our human-centered approach to innovation, we use we use design thinking and enterprise thinking. So we use the design thinking to identify the right problem to solve. And then we use the enterprise thinking to ensure that any ideas we come up with are feasible. Next slide. So this walks you through so you can see our process, our human-centered approach to innovation. We have explore, discover, design, deliver, and run and scale. In the explore, we're identifying what's that use case that we want to innovate on, what's the use case that will provide that strategic business value. Our discover is when we're diving into the problem, understanding the current as-is situation. Then we move on to design to address how do we address those challenges, those problems, and then we will deliver a proof of concept. And then the customer moves into the run and scale so that what we've built is used in production. And you'll see along the bottom, you'll see this design thinking and architecture thinking. And that's why we're a multidisciplinary team. Carlos and Frank and myself, we go together from the beginning all the way through the end as a team. We're working with these customers. Next slide. So, and Carlos mentioned he is one of the co-leads for our AppHaus network. And just for you to know, there are more than 20 AppHaus locations. 3 are run by SAP, and the remainder are run by partners all around the globe. So we have a large network of these partners. All of these partners follow the same human-centered approach to innovation. They all have creative collaboration spaces, and we also co-do events together with these partners. Next slide. So I've mentioned our business AI workshop formats. We currently have 4 formats. We have 2 for the business AI, an explore and a design workshop, and I'll be walking through those in a moment. And then we have a dual our agent, AI agent discovery and design workshop. And in the agent discovery and design workshop, we identify a use case that is a fit for agentic. We call it agenticness. So we're looking for a use case. We don't want something that's rule-based or deterministic. So we identify a use case that is a fit for an AI agent. And then in the design workshop, we're diving into understand what's the skills, the knowledge that the agent needs, what's the tools, and then what is that interaction flow between the human and the agent. All right, next slide. So I mentioned our Business AI Explore workshop. This is where we're identifying a use case to leverage our business AI. We come together with both IT and people from the business with our customers. And it's about a day workshop that we're doing in person or virtual to identify a top use case that has strategic business value. So this is what we did, next slide, with Cirque du Soleil. So Carlos and myself had the opportunity to travel there in person. We led one of these workshops. Next slide. And together with, as I mentioned, we had people from the accounts payable department. So we had IT there and some finance people. And this was the workshop that we led for the day. And next slide. And the use case that we're sharing with you today, or this story, it was one of the top use cases that came out of the session. So we have this use case brief. This was the business view for all of our top use cases. We created a business view, and then we used this to help us prioritize all of the use cases to determine which were the top business cases to focus on. Next slide. And in our workshop, Philippe was one of our stakeholders. He was in the workshop. He spent all day with us. Definitely gave feedback as we were discussing the prioritization or determining the prioritization. Very specifically giving feedback on the business value from that company perspective. But he said that time-consuming research required to identify the payment status of an invoice and its reasoning was overwhelming. We were looking for a more efficient way to handle this, and SAP Business AI provided us with a simply stunning answer. And over to the next slide. So what was the outcome? Cirque du Soleil is live with this. So for processing those 70,000 plus invoices in a year, they've now seen an improvement in being able to address those priority requests around 98%. And they've also seen a reduction in about a 25% reduction in their response times, or also you can think of it as the backlog for the inquiries, the requests that they need to respond to. And next slide. Also, all of the assets and the information for our business AI workshops are available, and we have an innovation toolkit. It is free, and anyone can go to our website, QR code there, to check out and or download that material for your use. And next slide. And now I'm handing it over to you, Carlos.
And thank you, Sally. And I think you actually highlighted something very important, that is the business use case with the customer side. And many times we've been facing the challenge that if I'm going to build something and I have also the support of SAP, the first question most probably will be, I don't want to build something if SAP already have something on the AI portion, either a new feature that they are building or that we are building, or a new agent. And in order to answer this question, we've been working with the PS organization and of course with the AppHaus. We've been working in this solution that we call it the solution matcher, which help us exactly to identify and answer the question, is there something already that I can enable as a customer to get or to gain some AI in my process and solve maybe some question? And that's why we came out with this process of the solution matcher, which is in a way, of course, we are using the solution from SAP. We are using the generative AI hub. We are following the ethical rules. We are also using the CAP and the RAG approach. And with that, we created a copilot that exactly helps us to find and understand the pain points from the use cases that we collected during these workshops. And exactly as Ali mentioned, we were using multiple templates like this one. And I will actually go in a real demo where we collect the use case that was prioritized before, and we try to find out if there is an embedded a scenario that we can apply. If no, this means that we needed to customize that together with the partner or together with the services from SAP, we will need to customize either an AI agent skill or the creation of the AI agent. And this tool will help us to use the power of the LLM. We will exactly bring this information and correlate it. And if there is no direct match, we will exactly find out how we can create an extension. So one key takeaways of this solution matcher is that by receiving a requirement, sometimes it's not even clear the requirement, we can clear the solution and then to find out if there is innovation paths that you as a customer can follow. But I think it's going to be better if I show this demo live. No? So jumping into what we call it exactly our solution matcher, this is how we exactly solve the situations. So in this application, we are going to collect two things, very important things. We are going to use an agent that will receive the information from the prompt or from the use case that we are talking with a customer. And we are going to also match this information with all the information that we have in the Discovery Center on the business AI portion. Here, you know that we have all the features and available agents that they are currently today. So up to date, we have 304 AI agents or features, and you can actually filter. But if you needed to go one by one to understand if the use case, the business use case match with one of these features and if the customer can enable it, this will take you time. So that's why we developed our tool that exactly follow the enterprise architect from BTP. And to make it more important, usually we have multiple templates that goes into these scenarios where we have the hand reading from our customers, they have multiple ideas, and the idea exactly from our tool is to simplify this process to get an answer right away. So I will go in this direction. I will upload one of our use cases. And the first step that we are going to use is to translate and extract the information from this picture that you are taking exactly during the workshop, or even from the problem statement that you captured in the slides from the customer. And then using the LLM and the guardrails that we are using in this application to limit the information that we are going to match, we are going to create a prompt. This prompt will indicate the areas of opportunities, the process that we try to solve, the business use case, a reason to improve, and our original prompt will be translated into these 5 pillars that we call it: the process to improve, the improvement reason, how to improve, the affected roles, and the focus areas. Exactly, this is the information that we capture from the template, but we improve it in a little bit more to make it more clear. And if this information is not enough to solve the problem, or to state exactly what I needed as a customer, then I can improve it. But as soon as I have the proper statement, then I will use the power of the AI core and the LLM to exactly do this matching. So as I mentioned before, we have an agent behind the scenes, and also our solution application is extracting the information every day from the discovery center to know if there is new solutions. And then what is going to happen at this moment is, using the LLM, in this particular case, we are using Anthropic, we are going to exactly find some matching solution for in this particular area. We are going to use maybe supply chain for how to improve its automate the complex make-to-order process flow for an opportunity created through the planning, slotting in order, quota creation, and all these things. Which is going to be affecting the roles that will be affected is the order management team and the manufacturing process team. And if you remember, one of the things that we've been talking is, at the end, when we are using agents, one of the things that we use is tokens, and also each token, of course, contains information. One important thing that I would like to highlight it is that all the information that we are using is not training the models, and in any way is going out from our BTP instance. But now, understanding now the situation, on the left-hand side, you have already 10 matching solutions that could solve in partially the problem. So this means that not all of the embedded scenarios that I mentioned before from the Discovery Center will match 100% of the customer statement or this business need. This means that our tool actually rank the solutions based on these 5 pillars that I mentioned before: focus area, process and activity to improve, affected roles, improvement needs, and how to improve. And based on that, we created a ranking that is showing for each of the solution. And what is more important is that each of these solutions will be matched, of course, together with the solution directly on the Discovery Center. So everything that the tool is showing is exactly based on the description and the approach and the requirements for all of this business use case. But in this example, as I'm showing you here, 60% of one scenario, that is the business integrated business planning, lead time, master data management, could help the customer to solve the situation. But this is not the whole thing, because I am still missing maybe 35% to solve the customer statement. So this means that we have an opportunity in there to find a custom solution, either through Joule skill, maybe a process automation, maybe an agent that we needed to build to complement exactly the portion that is missing. But our solution actually give you an explanation why the embedded scenario is not totally matching the customer statement. In this case, the solution partially addressed the requirement. I'm talking about this solution, the integrated business planning for this solution that I'm selecting. The solution partially address the requirement by focusing on lead time management, which is relevant to shipment date commitments, but lack specific functionality for the make-to-order process flow, automation, and visibility to improve requests in the requirement. So this means that in a way, our embedded scenario will be partially covering some solution, but we needed to customize a little bit more. And if I'm a technical guy, what I would like to see is how the solution architect diagram will be in terms of this solution that we are proposing. And the tool actually extract information from the different services that we have in the Discovery Center again, and it will try to create the solution that was selected before. And this will help you to understand what is going to be the build of material that is going to be required to solve one of these situations. So this is live. You can see that literally right now is creating the solution architect diagram. And as soon as this is completed, we will have a solution in here. So very fast to go. I know that we are over the time, but here is the solution that we are talking about. For example, for this use case, of course, we are using the BTP global account from the customer, where we are having the data sphere, the SAC, the AI Launchpad for the LLM connection with the AI core. We are using Event Mesh, and the application that will be on front is going to be the build apps. And here you have the build of materials that will help you to understand why we need all these services from the SAP instance. This is very important to, in a way, understand the build of material, but also to find out how we can exactly help the customer and go in the right approach to define what could be embedded, and then I will not lose the time to create a solution. Rather, I will just augment my solution with some customization in this portion. So with that, I hope that you have the opportunity to grasp this idea, this application that behind the scenes, of course, is using SAP services, and will help our customer to find out right away if there is an embedded solution or embedded capability that you can leverage right away in your instance. And with that, I will pass to you, Frank.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. This is great. And what I will do now is I will show you where you can find this stuff and also how we build it before we then go into Q&A. But I just want to re-emphasize what we just did. So Sally was talking about this wonderful customer project that Carlos and Sally traveled to Quebec for. And I remember it was like a cold winter day, but you guys came back to the AppHaus in Palo Alto and were so amazed because Cirque du Soleil, basically, if you just want to think about this company, it's a huge brand, right? So everybody knows them. I happen to live close to Vegas. I happen to go to TechEds there and happen to see their shows in Vegas in the big theater. But as they're traveling circus, they're also all over the place. And I bet that some of you have seen some of their shows. At least to me, they're kind of like the pinnacle of what artists can do and to have like a really entertaining show. But their SAP team is small. They have a lot of artists working for them, but the SAP team is really small, so that is why we needed help. But what I really liked when they came home, and thanks, Sally, for sharing some of those pictures, is that the office is actually in a warehouse where the meeting rooms face windows, not to the outside, but to the inside of the warehouse, like multi-story warehouse where the artists are doing their practice. Isn't that amazing? It's just so wonderful, when I saw that. And I didn't get to go, but again, I mentioned I'm taking over for my colleague Kai Schmiddeckert from Waldorf, who was involved with his team. They're doing BTP adoption and architecture, and they're really doing great stuff. And that's why I'm here in the Discovery Center. So before I jump in here, so again, Sally talked about the AppHaus and how we work in a way that we do business AI workshops with customers, because we start with the problem, with our design thinking, human-centered approach to innovation. So when we do that, we come up with like the real business use case. That's our goal, actually. What is that use case that gives this customer real value back? It's not about, implementing AI for, oh, AI is now the hot topic, I need to do AI. No, it's really to move the needle. And for them, it does. Then the next thing, what Carlos did is, you come up with a use case, and Carlos looked, okay, SAP has already so many embedded use cases. So in the catalog, I can search for them, but it's hard. So we have this solution matcher tool, the solution advisor, that helps you really finding them to know, okay, this is a use case that's already there, so I don't need to reinvent it. But then now, in this case, it wasn't there, but there was something there, and there was also something that our architecture and advisory team was helping with. And to start with all of that is why I'm here in the Discovery Center. Last year at TechEd, and I know we are really close to this year's TechEd, and everybody is excited excited about that. I love that our developer community, developer advocates are putting this Devtoberfest together for you guys. But last year, we announced for the first time something that was overdue. You know, we have like so many URLs and stuff. You know, you see discovery-center.cloud.sap. You know, the Discovery Center became sap.com. Of course, it's just like a quick link to our URL. The disco, sap.com/disco. I would like you guys to remember that. So there are two URLs that I think you should take away from today's session, and that is the first one. Discovery Center has been there with missions for BTP. So it's kind of like tutorials for you guys to build out stuff on BTP, because SAP also was facing early, you know, we have this wonderful platform, but our customers don't quite know what to do with it. So that is why we from the AppHaus here also help with use cases, and our platform adoption advisory team helped with the architecture and building it out, and we put these missions on there. They're still there. Then all the BTP services, and they're quite a lot. There are also some that are AI services. For example, something that I'm going to show you, the document extraction one, that also Carlos used to just take a photo of this. You know, it can read handwriting, and it can just get that. I mean, not a big thing anymore. Maybe a year ago it was just magic, but now everybody uses it. You know, GenAI is really a game changer, because from our OCR approach before, where we had to annotate the whole stuff that it would read it correctly, now it can get really good results with basically anything. But then we had the business AI. That was new, the catalog here. And then last year also, oh no, sorry, I should say, this year at Sapphire, we came up with a fourth thing that is now kind of hidden in this BTP guidance and framework part. And that is our architecture center. So this is now a collection here that has much more. So our architectures were part of the Discovery Center. They have now a new home in the architecture center, where I will go to show you the architecture of what we did here. But before I do that, and of course, it's our generative AI on SAP BTP reference architecture. So these guys, Kai Schmiddecker and all the great guys that we also have here in the US from that team, they put out this stuff for you. Before I show you this, let me show you also, you know, how this thing worked. So this is just a recording, but this is basically what we developed. This is not like the Cirque du Soleil stuff, and the great thing is they just went live with this, so they are using this. This has some you know, randomized data. You see Kai's email address here, or just ignore that. Otherwise, if you like it, send him something and say, great, how can I get that? But we will get to that point as well. But so what does it do? So you have your inbox here. You have like emails that are coming in. We're talking about the finance team, just a couple of people getting overwhelmed because all those, you know, suppliers, the vendors, you know, the people they do business with, they are not like using SAP software or an Ariba network or something. It's just like old-fashioned email way. Luckily, the pandemic helped at least to digitize that. So people send for example, an attachment as a PDF. But let's just say an email like this comes in, and it's just having this kind of like list of invoice numbers and POs and all of that kind of stuff. So what it does is it gets this information and it extracts now these invoices. So while that top thing is just text and just as it comes, and it doesn't need to be, annotated with this, it can just use it because we use generative AI. We used a large language model to understand that. You all know that if you use things like ChatGPT, if you put this email in ChatGPT and ask it for something, you get information. But here, as you can see, you get better information because we are not just, using ChatGPT. We are connected to Cirque du Soleil's ERP system. So they also use a third party. It's not important, but it just can connect to any system and get that information out. And what you see here in the lower right, it has those invoice numbers and it has the status. It pulled the status from the system. So these are paid. So now, this is not a big issue. All these are already paid. Maybe they just need to wait for their money. And it can even help you to do like a draft email to send back. So you can just take the suggested response, you can adjust it, you can answer using this. And this is just the beauty to take away that work that these people have to do. So what if there is no invoice number now in this email? So this case, if you read the email really quick, it says I have attached a copy of the invoices for the outstanding balances. Also, no problem. Why is that not a problem? We have BTP's document extraction service. So there's a PDF. And again, it doesn't need to be learned or trained on these invoices. We are using generative AI. So it just sees in the upper left of this PDF document, we have an invoice number. So now it gets this invoice number, it gets all the other information, and it does actually the same thing. So now with this invoice number, it's just getting that information out of the system as well, and just basically does the same trick. You see here, the status of the invoice is it's received. Thank you for reaching out. I hope your year is off to a great start. All this kind of stuff. They want to be nice. They're dealing with maybe vendors who are waiting for their money regarding invoice so-and-so. It's currently under validation. Our team is reviewing it. You can have this going out automatically if you want to make sure that, you have like a good, vendor experience there. But also you can have that basically going out just like with a human looking at it, because we at SAP, we also put the human first. We're really big in AI ethics, want to make sure that everything is under your control. So something that Cirque du Soleil didn't implement is this lower portion similar emails. I'm going to go to that in a bit. Everything is securely stored on our HANA engine our vector engine in SAP HANA Cloud. I'll show you in a second in the architecture. But when you look at the left here, what we have here is we have filters, but the filters, they are also already getting information out of the emails. So you can do things like sentiment and urgency. So that is not, it's an email, right? It's not a ticketing system where you have like a priority very high, medium. No, it's just taking that out of how that email is written. So now you can, for example, filter for a high urgency. You can see that with that exclamation point there. And then obviously, very often then the sentiment is, maybe a little void. So you get that sad emoji there as well. And then also sometimes these emails are coming in different languages. So now think about Cirque du Soleil doing business with so many vendors. They do their costumes themselves. They might, procure with like a Southeast Asian vendor for like certain buttons they put on their stuff. But also they do all these shows worldwide. So it can come in maybe in Germany, from Germany in German. So now I happen to be German. So I know what this means. I know there's a number also, but this is really, something saying that I'm really waiting for my email. But wait a second. So they're in Quebec, French speaking Canada. But, of course, we have LLMs, right? So they're also good in translating. So they can define a working language. And now anybody, also my colleagues, Carlos and Sally, who don't speak German, they can also work with that because you have it just translated in place here. And that's what we do. Of course, the response, you can also then deal with different languages. Then we have this similar email thing that we do, which is very interesting because it also has all that kind of like personal information, right, that we use. That is given access to the LLM through vectors, like just numbers. It's kind of like, we do data masking and anonymization already, but this is kind of like just stored on our side in BTP on HANA Cloud in a vector database. So that is kind of like helping, maybe that customer is complaining all the time. Maybe there's something similar that would answer. That is helping the finance department people to actually deal with that. This is part of our POC, was not implemented for the go live. And, you can then just click on that working language back again, and you have your answer in German. You click on answer and it's going out. So isn't this wonderful? So now you probably want to do this yourself. So how would you do that? First, let me show you this wonderful architecture that we are using. This is just our reference architecture for RAG. So this is pretty much what we did. The right pink thing here, or purple, whatever you call that color, is our generative AI hub on BTP. Just think of it like an adapter, like a travel adapter. When you travel different countries, they have different outlets. So your plug doesn't fit. This Swiss adapter that works for all the countries and can even do 120 to 240 volt kind of like switch, whatever. That is the GenAI Hub. We connect to all those foundation models of all the large language models in a way that's secure, but also from what Carlos said, it's kind of like in a way that we do it that contractually these providers cannot use your data. So let's take an example. OpenAI is hosted on Microsoft Azure. Now, I don't know how it technically works. Maybe they have like an own private cloud, just like an instance for SAP coming in from the GenAI Hub. But whatever comes, they are not allowed to use for training. So any of that data, you don't need to worry. If you do business and you'd say, okay, SAP is great, but I would like to do my AI stuff directly with OpenAI, you have to mess with different contracts and stuff. We say, one contract, one coin, do it through SAP, and you get that added security here as well. I think that's really important. So what we did here is, for this little email stuff and also to store those vendor numbers and the invoice numbers, we leverage HANA Cloud Vector Engine. But the main application that you saw with the UI is basically a CAP application that we use for running this. And what is missing in this, what we also used, I showed it to you, is we also leverage the BTP service for document extraction. When the PDF is basically just sent, it is extracted, and we leverage that data. And now there's also one thing that's really interesting here. If you look at the right-hand side. So while we can work with SAP Cloud solutions, we can also leverage the SAP connectivity service to do the cloud connector thing and connect with an on-premise service. So let's say it's an S/4HANA on-premise service, but this is on BTP. Isn't it beautiful? This is a side-by-side extension. This is a solution that you can already build if you're still on ERP and you think, okay, I need cloud for AI. Yes, you have it with BTP. Build it, keep the core clean side by side. And how? You go to the Architecture Center, and as I showed you, you can access it from here and get this architecture. It's all basically in GitHub. You can start from here, you can create your own branch, and you can use that architecture diagram, the draw.io, just by yourself. You make it yours, and then it's yours. It's an open source drawing thing for architecture diagrams, no more like fiddling around in PowerPoint or stuff like that. Then also go to the Discovery Center, find this as a mission, because in the mission catalog, we do have this as a mission, and we call it Mail Inside. And in the mission catalog, you can just start this, and SAP AppHaus had another project with AMD. It was also based on this basic RAG architecture. And, soon you will see also Cirque du Soleil now here as a name. They come with a project board and it goes step by step. It's just like a tutorial through it. You just start it. For starting it, you have to log on. And then it's also yours. You get your own instance. You can do that in-house with colleagues that work on the same thing. It's kind of like managing all of that. And you have that project board where you just go step by step. So first it's explaining you the scenario. And then basically you go through this from card to card, and you basically go and do all these steps. It tells you what you need, how to set up your sub account, everything, and you do it in your own BTP. And remember, with BTP, you can always start with free tier. So this is just such a wonderful, way to share stuff with you, because what Sally shared, our toolkit for AI, it's also free for you in another web page that I want to give you. And that is in our AppHaus space. Very easy as well. Remember, discoverycenter.sap.com/disco. AppHaus is apphaus.sap.com. And then you go to Toolkit, and here you will see Innovation Toolkit for AI. This includes all the 4 things that Sally mentioned, the Business AI Explore workshop, the Design workshop, the Joule Agent Discovery workshop, and the AI Agent Design workshop. Everything here with 2 URLs you can just remember. And then when you do and implement your solution here from the Discovery Center, you get even help here. You can get, you have the community also with the Architecture Center. You can chat with people. This is all free. This is all there for you to get started with a similar use case, what Cirque du Soleil used, how they are successful, probably save a lot of money, but eventually really make their vendors happy again. So that not just the people visiting their shows can be amazed by Cirque du Soleil, no, also the vendors, because they get their money on time. So that is my part, and now we have some time for Q&A.
Fantastic, amazing. Thanks, Sally and Carlos, for the overview, and Frank for the overview as well. I was fascinated. It's specifically when you showed Frank the BTP solution diagram. I mean, I actually have a. By the way, I've also shared in the YouTube chat the architecture.learning.sap.com URL, the Discovery Center URL with the mission catalog specifically, and also the apphaus.sap.com URL. So share all things, all the free things. The solution diagram and talking about the different BTP services and everything got me thinking, not with my developer hat on, but with my architecture hat on. And I've been an architect in the past and spoken to customers and in the past. And I think one of the questions that may be unsurprising from customers, I don't know whether this is an appropriate question to ask, but I'll ask it anyway, is what about data provenance? What if a customer is a little bit concerned about their data?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there is like one thing that's more like a contractual thing. It's a legal setup that we have with all the LLM providers that we are working with. And I've just used OpenAI and GPT just as an example. The same with all the other models. So those companies legally cannot, use that data to train their models. I mean, of course, the data has to be sent there, right? So if you don't trust them anyways, and you don't want to sue them, SAP also offers, while we don't have like an own large language model, we host also those open source models on SAP hardware. So then you stay with SAP, you can leverage all of those, and you don't worry about, what happens to the GPT models in the future and your sensitive data, because we understand this is not your chat GPT where you create like something and you might even, what I call, your own personal masking. When I do that, I don't put real names in when I use like the real chat GPT. I'm also a little concerned what happens. They learn a lot about you, because if you have been using chat GPT, you don't need to explain so much anymore. It knows, oh yeah, you are that guy from California who always asked me about. If you don't want that, you can always delete the whole like history. I don't know, it's kind of like painful. At one point you give up on that. It's like how the whole move to cloud worked. But SAP also gives that to you on SAP hardware. So while you don't get the models that are, just out there, that's like one thing. So you have the legal thing, you have SAP doing this. But then also, on BTP, we have a lot of data anonymization already. We do data masking, when you have social security numbers, you have credit card numbers. That is something that we do. Of course, there's like a whole like secure connection how that data is sent to the large language models. But then there is also the thing that you can have this data vectorized in your own HANA cloud. So it's not sitting somewhere else. This is not sitting, and that is your like your secret sauce maybe. That's the data that is not sitting with the LLM. We offer that, for example, in Joule as the document grounding service. So Joule knows everything, knows the internet now, it knows the help.sap.com, but it does not know you as a company, your secret stuff. You have probably training documents, all that in PDF. Now you just use the document grounding service, and all of that is basically vectorized and it can live on a SharePoint. It's kind of like a job running every night to put it there. And Joule knows everything from that, but that data is not living on the LLM side, it's basically living as a vector in HANA Cloud.
And sorry to interrupt, but maybe I can summarize in two things. It's secure by design, but it's also governed by default, because in this agreement that Frank is talking about, the enterprise grade for the compliance goes with the GDPR, the Sarbanes-Oxley, the ISO, and of course the model transparency and control that you can have in the BTP. So exactly as Frank says, all the information that the AI is being used is kept inside of BTP and secure in BTP. Only the information that flows outside to the LLM that is in the external third-party vendors, this information should be vectorized, should be anonymized. But in a way, this is the steps that we help in the AppHaus to explain the customer which kind of information could be outside and how to secure your information. And this is the best way where we understand the secret sauce from the customers and how we can secure this data. Maybe, Sally.
Fantastic. What a great interjection. Now, I think we've got time for one more very quick question and quick answer. And I'm going to direct the question to Sally as the person who's going to be speaking last now. Basically, if the folks out there wanted to get in touch with you, wanted to sort of engage with the AppHaus, whether it's a developer or a customer or a partner, whatever, customers specifically, let's talk about customers. Where do they go?
Where do they go? Absolutely. We are happy to work with customers. That's what we do. We work with our customers and our partners, running these business AI workshops, doing these innovation projects. You can reach out to Frank, Carlos, or myself directly. We can provide that contact information.
Cool.
You can also, Frank shared our AppHaus website. You have the ability to also reach out to us we also have a shared inbox. So you have the ability to reach out to us through that, and we will follow up and can discuss your needs.
Fantastic. Shared inbox. Hopefully not staffed by an AI, but staffed by you.
Nope. There's humans behind it.
Fantastic.
And it's
Okay,
really easy to remember as well. It's just apphaus@sap.com. The only thing is we spell the house the German way, H-A-U-S.
Aber natürlich. Just like we use the word Stammtisch in English as well.
Very
Yes.
good.
Yes. So that's
Perfect.
That's cool.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
I've just put the email address in the chat as well. So
Wonderful.
you've got that there as well. So it just remains for me to thank everybody for joining and listening, and also the people who are in the long tail of watching this video, sort of, after we've been live and everything, and the replays. Devtoberfest lasts for another few weeks and then goes on to be watched for months and months. So Carlos, Frank, Sally, thanks very much as well to you three. I'll leave you three to say goodbye, and then we'll go offline.
All right. Thank you, DJ.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure once again to share this session with you, and to Frank and Carlos for your partnership.
Yeah,
My
thanks
pleasure.
for this wonderful project, also you guys, and maybe see you at the next Cirque du Soleil show.
Ooh.
That's right. There you
I'll
go.
be the one on the tightrope.
All right. Great.
Okay. Thanks, folks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.